So you got your trout. One way to cook them in the backcountry. This works if you have a fire, or you can actually cook these over a stove this way too. I'll show you how to do that. I use a lot of butter. Put that right in the cavity. Now in the backcountry, you're probably not going to have butter. I will pack it in the shorter sections, say between Happy Isles and Tuolumne Meadows and between Reds. It keeps for, if it's not too hot and you keep it in the middle of your pack, you can keep butter for like 10 days. There's a product called ghee that works, Ghee, and I'll use olive oil a lot too. So I always bring lemon pepper into the backcountry. I'm out renting a cabin right now. I forgot to bring it, so I'm just using whatever seasoning I have. Salt, pepper, lemon butter, and lemon pepper and butter is usually what I use. So you season it, bring some foil along, wrap it up in the foil. And I've seen people do this over a camp stove, over a fire, and just flip it on the camp stove. But you know, it's hard to get an even cook that way. Or you can actually do it in a frying pan with a piece of foil spread out in the frying pan. That way you don't get a huge mess. But this way, you get a fire going, get it to coals, just throw it in the fire, about 5-10 minutes. I'll probably turn it twice, maybe about 5 minutes each side, and it should be flaky. I'm gonna barbecue these. It works over a barbecue too. So that is one way. If you have a fire, I'll show you a couple other ways. Okay, so you don't have a fire where you're at, and how are you going to cook your fish? So I forgot to mention, I think, on the wrapping of the foil, if you don't have butter, the thing to use, this is what you're going to use on the long trips, is olive oil, and substitute that for butter. And you can season however you like. I actually really like this McCormick Montreal steak seasoning. That stuff's awesome. I usually just use butter or olive oil. I'll sometimes bring this. This is actually kind of heavy. Maybe put them in a little plastic bag with some salt. And I love to use lemon pepper. So my typical is salt and lemon pepper and a little olive oil or butter. And that's all you need. So you don't have you're probably above tree line, you have some fish, you gotta cook it. So I've seen people actually fry fish in the bottom of their pan. You put a little olive oil in there. That's the problem with frying. It takes a lot of seasoning, butter, a lot of oils, and that stuff's heavy. My preferred method, I have this, you can get a little pan like this, handle folds up. I love fried trout. If I'm going just on a 3 or 4 day trip where I know I'm going to eat fish, I'll bring this along. It's a huge mess. That's why the titanium's nice. This is an REI brand. I really like it. It's pretty heavy. It's about a pound. So you're not going to take this on the JMT or anything like that. But for weekend trips, it's great. Cleans up nice. But frying does make a mess. You could put a sheet of aluminum and fry right on top of the aluminum. Then you just crunch up the aluminum and throw that away. It saves a lot of cleanup. Frying fish makes a huge mess, but that's my favorite. But I'll use a ton of butter, and it's delicious. But for a long trip, that's probably not something you can do. I like these little fold-up spatulas too, so I just stick that in my pan. If I'm on a shorter trip where weight isn't that big of a deal. But if you're cooking without a fire, here's the 2 ways I like to do it. Either you can actually cook it right over your flame of your stove. I use a Gigapower, a Snow Peak Gigapower stove. It's got a wider flame and it spreads out a little bit. You can use a pie tin on top of that, and you can actually cook it in the foil and just kind of turn it over. That doesn't work very good, but that's why I like this thing. This is what I brought on the JMT and didn't use. It's called a bake packer. Look at bakepacker.com. It's really light. I think it weighs 4 ounces. And if you're a real ultralighter, it's just a bunch of grids. And you can take off this outside ring and just, if you want to go even lighter. Basically, you boil water and it turns your pot into a stove. So this is a 6-inch titanium pot, which is really light. And I've got the water boiling a little bit. I'm not using my stove. It would be the exact same effect. So this slides right in there. Fits perfectly. And you want it bottomed out. You could probably do this with rocks, but I haven't tried that. So you just want the water boiling softly. So this uses a lot of fuel, so you want to be efficient. So when you're trying to get it up to boil, put your lid on so it boils faster. You could do this with an alcohol stove. That might be a easier way to, instead of carrying a lot of propane or butane. On a long trip like the JMT on the second half, I got the big giant size of butane canister because I was planning on cooking. So I've got it at a soft boil. And now what you do, my fish is already seasoned. You don't seal the bag. It's pretty simple. You just kind of roll this up, but you leave the bag open because you need the gas needs to escape. And this is your typical JMT size fish. This is like an 8-inch trout. It's awful small. And you could probably do 3 of them. You want them kind of flat on there. You could put them up lengthwise, the skinny side up or flat. Since I'm only doing one, I'm going to kind of put it flat. So I'm going to stick that in there and then put the lid on. And sometimes if you can't get the lid to go all the way down, you can put a rock or something on there. And then you let that cook for 12 minutes. So I'll be back in 12 minutes. Okay, so my 12 minutes is up. So let's see what we got here. You know, if anybody's cooked a lot of fish, you know if you overdo them, they're mushy. If you underdo them, they're just not, they don't flake. So it should be flaky. So I did 12 minutes, and let's see how this works. Now this actually acts as an oven. It doesn't poach, it doesn't boil it. It's actually turning it into an oven. What's cool about this bake packer, you can make like blueberry muffins, breads, cornbread. You can make all kinds of fun stuff on the trail. And I've used it a lot for that. I've cooked a lot of fish on it. I've been very happy with it. So I did 12 minutes here, and for comparison, to simulate what it would be like with a fire, I did 12 minutes on the grill, which would be similar to turning over on a fire. Now, these bags are nasty. I know people don't like using plastic bags. Supposedly it's safe. We'll see. They recommend using Glad freezer bags. So that looks pretty good. So I'll rearrange the camera so you can see them. And this is my one from the barbecue. Smells good. And what's cool about foil, you can just throw away the mess. See, the skin actually stuck to the foil, and you can throw that away. And I don't like to eat the skin except if I fry it. So let me rearrange it here so you can see what these look like, and let's see how they came out. All right, so this bottom one is the one I barbecued, and you just kind of take your fork or your spork if you're out in the backcountry, and you can just peel the skin right off. You can eat this too, especially if you're hungry. There's going to be a lot of protein in there, and then you just go kind of along the bone line. See how that's flaky. That's pretty good. So I did that for I recommend usually about 5 minutes on each side, but that's nice and flaky. This is on the barbecue, and it's delicious. Yum. So this is the bake packer one, exactly 12 minutes. Same thing, you just peel the skin right off, and let's see if it's flaky. Looks pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. See, I'm not getting any bones either. That's a good sign. If you cooked it right, you can just peel it off without getting a bunch of bones. So that's perfect too. So 12 minutes seems to be a good number. And if you haven't eaten trout before, once you peel off one side, you can get all this meat without getting bones. You just go to the tail, hold it down, and all the bones come right out. And your excess stuff, you need to either bury it or pack it out. So, yum. Perfect and delicious and loaded with calories. So, enjoy your fish on the trail, and If you haven't seen my other video on how to catch fish, I'm going to do one on some suggested places along the JMT to catch fish. So, bon appetit, or no bone appetit, I guess. With trout, you don't want the bones. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and enjoy. Thanks.